Great. I picked up a couple. I got a couple bottles when I came back from Montreal.
I love it. I love it.
Simon, it's
Looking
good to
forward.
see you back.
Thank you, Siak. It's good to semi be back.
Yeah.
Simon, I find it
That's
very hard to
me.
believe that somebody came to visit you, you would have let them in. I feel like you'd be so excited, you'd be jumping from the roof. But okay, no problem.
A little bit. A little bit. But, you may be right. I don't know. But you may be right. I had a friend who just sent his kid to yeshiva over here, and he came to visit me over by my in-laws. They brought me beef jerky from Cleveland. I almost messed myself.
Aaron Kaplan's phone that he gave me because it's a Verizon phone. Hopefully it'll work better. It hasn't.
I was wondering, hello, that number popped up there. I was like, what is going on here?
We're trying everything to get this internet to work. So now we're on to your phone. Thank you. Okay, ready to go? We got a lot of stuff to do in tonight's day, even though it's a very short talk, but there's a lot to do. So where do we leave off? But two dots on Lamed Ches Amud Aleph. Lamed Ches Amud Aleph. That's what we're up to. Two dots Lamed Ches Amud Aleph. But yesterday, I think I forgot to mention. So we were discussing about shemei kaina, right? That all you have to do is listen. All you have to do is listen to whoever's being mitzvah to you, and that's enough, right? So we had said that Rashi had said, maybe I said it from Taisus, whatever. But here's the bottom line. It's really a three-way Machlokes Rishonim about how shemei kaina works. Is shemei kaina as if you're saying it because or is it that you're just yaitza? Meaning, so we said that if you're in the middle of Shemona Esrei, right, and then the chazan gets up to kedusha or something like that, so you stop your Shemona Esrei and you listen, and then you're yaitza to kedusha that way. That's what Rashi says. Taisus doesn't like that. He says, how can that be? Because if it's shemei kaina, that means you're saying kedusha in the middle of Shemona Esrei. Right? So then, meaning if shemei kaina is as if you're saying it, so that means you might as well say the kedusha yourself, which obviously you can't do. So Taisus is not so. Rashi says you should do that, which is what we paskin, and Taisus says not to do it. Also, shemei kaina could only help to be might see you in actual things and the actual words. Lamashal, by Haman's 10 sons. So some places have a minig that everybody, the whole Sibur says all together, and then the chazan repeats. Why? Why is that? So the reason for that is because you're supposed to do it in one breath. A chazan can't be mitzvah you in one breath, right? If you're supposed to say it all, so yes, you can listen to the chazan, and that would be as if you're saying it. But to do it in one breath, that's something physical. That's something physical that the chazan can't do. Right, so that's what that Machlokes is based on. But anyways, but the main thing is that the Machlokes is
why is one breath more physical than talking? Well,
no, because there's a special din of shemei kaina. You're hearing something. Breath is not. You're not hearing. Right? Shemei kaina means you're listening. You're hearing his words, and it's as if you're saying it. So that's from we know from the pasuk from Yeshaya. But for the breathing, we don't have that. There's other examples too. I'm not remembering now what they would be. I mean, Rabbi, what do you want to tie in the shofar?
Yaakov, why is Megillah is a good raya?
Well, shofar is lishmaya kol shofar. So
right. So it's as if you're not right. That's true. That's a terror. I don't know. There's other examples I can't remember. No, the Megillah. You're right on. That would be that example. Okay, so let's see. So on the Lamed Tes,
Yaakov, I think you some say Kiddush also is like that. If you buy somebody for Kiddush,
what Kiddush is shemei kaina, rather.
So
yeah, right. Now we said with the Gemara very clear that we paskin that you don't have to answer Amen. You're supposed to answer Amen, but if you did not answer Amen, then you are still yaitza. You don't have to answer Amen in order to be yaitza. Yeah. Okay. So now on Lamed Tes Amud Aleph. What is it? 6 lines down. So Mokum Shenogul Lifol. So we said that some places, yeah.
If you might not know from somebody, are you yaitze kiddush?
That's taka shaila. Yeah, then you get into mitzvahs lav lahenes nitnu.
Okay, fine.
Right. Right. That's a good shaila. Yeah. So anyway, but that's yeah. So let's see. So makom shenagu lichol. So we said this is another thing to add to the riddles that you could talk about on Yom Tov. I don't know if anybody is compiling them or not. Really, I should, but I'm a lazy guy. But maybe I will. I don't know. But why is it that first of all, a lot of people don't even chop that we're repeating the words. They just think that this is part of that's part of Tehillim, that the words get repeated. I mean, the sentences at the end of Hallel get repeated. That's not. It's not in Tehillim as those that say Tehillim know. It's just one sentence each. Meaning we start with Oitcha. Well, we pass in as Oitcha Hashem. We say it twice, and Me'es Hashem, and whatever. Everything is doubled. So the reason for that is because starting from the Minam Meitzar, if you look in the Tehillim, each pasuk, there's two pesukim in a row that basically talk about the same thing. Right? So since those pesukim are talking about the first bunch of pesukim in Minam Meitzar are talking about the same things, so Mamela, we double up the pesukim for the rest of the parak too. So the only shaila is where do you start doubling up the pasuk? The Tana Rebbe Kaifel Dvarim. Rebbe just repeat some of the words, right? From Ana Hashem Ashiyana, Ana Hashem Aslichana. Rebbe Elazar ben Prata Ma'isipa Dvarim, but Rebbe Elazar ben Prata added on, and he kicked it back all the way to Oitcha. Right? My Ma'isip, Amarabai Ma'isip Lichol Me Oitcha Lamata. I'm sorry, I jumped the gun there. He added from Oitcha and Lamata. That's where he decided to add. Meaning he added on more than what Rebbe Elazar ben Prata did. I'm sorry, no, Rebbe Elazar was the one that added. Rebbe doubled from Ana Hashem Mashiach for the rest of Hallel, and Rebbe Elazar ben Prata added on from Oitcha. Yeah.
Didn't we learn in Shkalim the reason why we double it?
What I mean, we said it. What do you mean?
The whole mice with Shmuel and Avi and Yisha. That's from Oitcha. What?
Is it? I don't remember. Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I have to look it up. I'd have to look it up. I'll look it up. Adarab, look it up. Yeah. Okay.
That was from Oitcha. That's when they said, Yisha said, David, that one?
Are you talking about with the Meister with David, when they got into the whole, that was Shkalim?
Yeah, or Yuma maybe. I think it was Shkalim.
But that wasn't why it was doubled. That was just a shot in the pesukim. That wasn't why it was doubled.
That is why it was doubled. That's why each one repeated that puzzle.
That's what. Okay, I don't know. We'll have to look it up. I don't know. First, I have to figure out where it is. Yeah, I have more confidence you'll figure it out than I'll figure it out. But all right. But maybe at the end we'll try and get it together. Okay. So levarich yivarich. So if there's a mitzvah to make a bracha, so for those that have the minim to make a bracha on Hallel, you make a bracha. So Amar Rabbi Lashon Elul Acharav. We're only talking about the bracha afterwards, which is Yahalaluka till Baruch Atah Hashem Melech Mula Batish B'Chai. Avalafanov, but the bracha of Hashek B'Deshanim Mitzvah Sav Tivon L'Kroyas Hallel, right? That's mitzvah levarich. So everybody holds it's a mitzvah levarich. So Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel. I call them mitzvahs kulan mevarich alein over l'asiyatן. All mitzvahs you have to make over, which literally means passed over. This is one of Rabbi Aaron Horowitz's favorite Gemaras, right? That we call over pass, which you think means you make the bracha afterwards. No, but over here means you make it first, right? Call them mitzvahs kulan mevarich alein over l'asiyatן. Pass, then you're supposed to do, which really means before. Here, over means you do it before. So since there's a mitzvah of Hallel, so you got to make a bracha before Hallel. The whole Machlokes is whether you make the bracha afterwards. How do you see that this over is a lashon of making it early? And achimat, This is the whole thing with David, with Avshalom and Yoav. So Achimot ran after Derech HaKika Vayavar is the Kushi, and he passed the Kushi, meaning he went in front of the Kushi. So you see, Vayavar means it goes in front, goes early.
Kushi evidently was not from Ethiopia or Kenya.
Correct. Well, the Kushi. You mean the Kushi? This Kushi was not
right.
That's what
right.
you're saying. Yeah, you're right. This Kushi was not a legit Kushi, is what you're saying. Yeah, I hear that. Yeah. That's by Yaakov Avinu, right? So he went in front of Esau, right? He went in the front when they went to meet Esau. Or we have another pshat. And the king went in front. The king goes in front of everybody, and Hashem is at the head. So you see three pesukim, three sources that Vayavar could actually mean go in front. Now, if you see this big taisus over here, so this is actually a taisus that we have to do. I'm sorry. We're not going to read the whole taisus. Don't worry. Don't get nervous. But it's from the most famous. Is Marchuk on there? It's from the most famous. It's certainly, I would think, the most famous taisus in Sukkah, but maybe even in Shas, which is how we taking lulav and esrog if you're supposed to make a bracha before, right? The famous kasha. Right, you pick up your lulav and esrog, and then you make the bracha. What happened to Oiver L'Asiyatan? Right, what happened to Oiver L'Asiyatan? You're already holding the lulav and esrog. It says on the tilas lulav, on the taking of the lulav, you already took it. Right, so Taisus has four terutzim. How we get around that? Fine, where Taisus says it.
Yaakov, you once went through. We had a share. We went through the whole sugya of how to pick it up and not to be,
Right. That's right. That's all based on this. Taisus.
Right.
Listen to what he says.
Says about 12 lines in Inami.
Yeah, but that's one. What's the teretz before that? No. I mean, the first one is he seems to say that you make the bracha when it's on the you have in mind not to make the bracha, and you make the bracha when it's laying down, which he doesn't really like so much. The second one is the one that Roiv of Klal Yisrael does, which is that you pick up the esrog backwards. He says take one of them backwards. When you pick it up, take it backwards, then you make the bracha, and then you turn it over. Which the easiest one to do is obviously the esrog. It could be quite painful to hold the lulav, backwards, right? So that's the second one, which is what I think Rav Klai does. That's why when you pick up the lulav, you're supposed to pick it up backwards, and then you turn it over, right? I'm just trying to cut through and see. Then he said the third shot is that it's not the real mitzvah is the shaking of the lulav, not just the taking of it. Right, so therefore you are making the bracha before. And the fourth teretz is should have marked it off. Okay, I don't remember what the fourth teretz is now. Whatever it is,
the fourth teretz is the going sheet. No, you haven't said
right,
not
yeah,
to
right,
be
yeah, right. Right. That's the last one. Right, that you have in mind. You pick it up with having in mind not to be yotze. You have, even though we say mitzvahs, the mitzvahs don't need kavanah, right? So by just picking it up, you might be yotze anyway, at least under the rabbanon. But if you have in mind that you're having kavanah to dafka, not the yotze, so then that works too, right? So that's basically all the ways. That's all the ways of doing it. So okay, the main one is the second teretz, which is that you turn over the esrog, and then you make the bracha, and then you turn it back over. That's what Roiv people do. Okay, fine. So that's sugya. Yeah. So now we go weiter, and now we start with shmitta, which the shmitta really began last week because you get the extra month of Taisus shmitta, right? So, but this sugi is really not going to be negay until next sukkah, because all the lulavim and esrogim are already picked for this year. They picked them before shmita, so it's not an issue. But okay, but there we go. So that's the Mishnah. Halakech lulav mechaveroi b'shviyas. So somebody takes a lulav from his friend on shviyas. Meaning you can. That doesn't mean take to steal. Right? Meaning you're buying the lulav from your friend on shmita. He should give them esrog as a matana. Because you're not allowed to take. You're not allowed to take. You're not allowed to do business with shmita, things from shmita, which we're going to learn now. Yeah, and so basically, what the Mishnah is basically saying is that the esrogim should be free during shmita. So we're going to have to see exactly how that works, because the esrogim are certainly not free during shmita. But that's
everybody knows that, because that year they charge you for the lulav.
Correct. Well, we're right. So we'll get to that. But not everybody does that even. But yeah. But let's see. Yeah, let's see. So the talking Gemara, I'm sorry, the correct when they want to answer, let's say he doesn't want to give it to him matana. So what are you going to do? What you do is you swallow up the cost of the esrog in the lulav. Meaning, let's say the lulav was $10 and the esrog was $10. So what you do is you charge $20 for the lulav and you give the esrog for free. That's what you should do.
That was the price back at the time of the Gemara.
The what?
That was the price back in the time of the Gemara.
Right, you mean $10? Yeah. Yes, I'm sorry for using an example that causes pain. I'm sorry. I should have said 100. Okay. Yeah. So as a taking a step back. Why can't you just pay for the esrog? What's wrong with paying for an esrog? Now it's very interesting, because why didn't the Gemara say? Because you're not allowed to sell. You're not allowed to sell. You're not allowed to do business with shmita, right? It doesn't say that though. It doesn't say it. Gemara says no, because you're going to end up giving money to. You're going to end up giving money to the Amoret. So what's wrong with giving money to an Amoret of shmita? The Tanya, because we learned in the Bracha, ain't moistened to make payers shviyas lama oret. Yosim wasn't shalish sudas. You're not allowed to give money more than 3 meals worth of money for shmita vegetables to an Amoret. Why 3 meals? Because 3 meals is the amount you would need on a Shabbos. And if you did, see, now let's say you did by mistake. Let's say you gave the Amoret enough money to pay for a whole week's worth of meals. So what are you going to do? So then you say, and this is a very interesting thing, how exactly this works, la halacha. So you say, the money that I gave to the Amoret is the kedusha of that money goes back onto vegetables that I have in my house that are not from shmita. And then the vegetables that are in the recipient's house become kaddish with shmita, and the money that's in Nam Haaretz goes out of shmita. Meaning, the truth is, I'm sorry, I should have said Akdama. Let's talk a very practical example, because this child is going to come up next year a lot. Costco gets in the Israeli vegetables, right? So that happens a lot. That happens always. So then you have orla issues and all that, but then shmita, you have a problem, right? Because if the vegetables were not properly taken care of, and it wasn't properly done la halacha, so now you can't just return the vegetables to Costco and get back your money, because the vegetables have kedusha, right? Now when you pay for the vegetables remain in the kedusha, and the money also has kedusha, which we'll get to tomorrow, Bezos Hashem, and tomorrow's daf. So now to just return it to Costco, you can't, because now you get back the money. Now your money has kedusha. So now, and the vegetables have kedusha. So it's a disaster. So, but one of the things that you can do is you can be paid the what do you call it? The payers, by saying the kedusha from the payers goes on to something else. So here, when you gave the money and you bought some vegetables from an Amoret, right? So now you weren't supposed to buy more than 3 meals worth of vegetables, but you bought 10 meals worth, let's say. Now you have a problem. So your payers that you have are kedusha shvius, fine. You'll treat them properly, right? But the money that you gave to this amoritz, we're afraid he's not going to take this money and treat it properly, and he's going to do things that he's not allowed to do with that money again, because that money has kedusha shvius. So what are you going to do? So what the Gemara says is you say in your head that that money that the amoritz has, the worth of that money, and you put it on to 10 days, using our example, 10 days worth of vegetables, non-shmita vegetables that you have in your house, and now the money that's in the amoritz's hand goes out of kedusha, and the kedusha goes onto the vegetables. That's what the Gemara is saying. Now Tosfos, so Rashi says, no, before that, let's just understand. So how does this work? How can you go take money from somebody else that has kedusha, be mechalel it onto vegetables? So the bottom Tosfos really says that it doesn't really work.
What's the child of that? Zachin shalai b'chanav. Do him a favor.
What's the
it is zachin. You're taking away Avera from him.
Yeah,
You
you
said he's an
can't
amor.
take kedusha. You can't. And I'll tell you, if I want to sit here in my house and say that I want to take these payers that are in your house, and I'm going to take the kedusha off the payers in your house because I don't trust you. Well, how can you do that? It's not mine to make less kaddish.
No, the money. You gave Amoritz's the money.
I gave you the money. I made a mistake already. I gave you the money. Now the money is yours. Now I'm saying, the Gemara is saying, now I'm taking the kedusha from your money.
It's not Zachin shalai b'chanav?
What?
It's not.
Why
it's
is
not.
Zachin? Where's the Zachin?
He's not losing anything except the kedusha, and he's going to mess up on the kedusha.
Right. Yeah. How are you being paid? It's somebody else's money.
So you're doing him a favor because he doesn't know how to treat it right. He's not losing anything.
But how?
You're doing him a favor, or you're doing the money a favor?
You're doing him a favor. He's not going to do an Avera.
Naftali, I don't understand. You don't own the product. How are you going to be taking the kedusha that's ready by the other person and put it onto your money or your food? It's not yours.
Shalai b'chanav comes in.
You don't own it. He doesn't want to give you his product.
You're not taking the product. You're taking the kedusha.
Naftali,
You can't take kedusha without taking the product.
Naftali, let me ask you: if a guy has $1,000 shot in his suit and you take it and you burn it, you don't owe him any money. Maybe you don't. I don't know.
You're not taking anything away. He's not losing
I'm
anything.
asking you a question. If you took
That's
something,
different. Fine. I'm answering you. That's different.
He won't do an Avera now. He won't wear the shot in his suit.
Fine. So that's a different shiloh. There, he's losing something. Here
That's causing him a loss. This is not causing him a loss. It's the same.
You're not
money.
taking anything from him. You can't just take kedusha without taking the thing. The way you're paid is something you have to actually take the product.
No, that's not what's happening here. You're taking.
It doesn't work.
That's not what the rabbi said.
Doesn't make sense. That's the question. It's a very simple question. How could you take kedusha when it's not yours? Can I just say, oh, that kedusha is going to be paid onto my fruit anytime I want, willy nilly, without any like halais? How do you make the halais with nothing? You can just say, oh, that kedusha that's all in your rishos, it goes into my rishos anytime you want. What did you do here to remove the kedusha? It's in his rishos.
Right. So Tosfos brings us a Machlokes and Bava Kama. If you're by a kerem, right? If you're allowed to be machal, what's in your yad chavera. So he brings it as a machlokes, but he says according to the one that says it's usher. So what goes on over here? And Tosfos says a very interesting teretz. Tosfos just says it's a knas, right? Yeah, you mean because you made a mistake by giving money to an amoritz who's now going to botch the hilchah shmita. So we knas you, and you got it. Now you have to take the money, the equivalent of the money, and so basically Tosfos is saying it doesn't really work. His money's still going to be kaddish, but you get knas, which is a fascinating thing. You're getting knas. What does it help anything, right? But it's a knas because you gave him too much money. Yeah, that's the way Tosfos understands it, which is pretty fascinating shot in Tosfos.
See, Yaakov, look at the Agud that worked this out perfectly with all the ads this week about buying a piece of land there itself a shmita. So it worked out so nicely. Rabarin, I'm surprised you didn't pick up on this.
What?
Yeah. They're trying to sell everybody land so you can be mekayim your mitzvah shmita and all that. Yeah.
I already bought a piece of land.
Barry,
The guy invited me
to
there.
have bird's nests on it. You get a double.
Shluch hakad, you mean?
The OU actually sent out an email last week saying that they're not so pro. They brought from Moshe Sternbach that he said he doesn't really think it works.
What, buying a piece of karka?
Yeah, because he said that, I think for what he said is that shmita, he holds that shmita is a lulav. It's not a mitzvah say to keep shmita. He holds it's a lulav to work the ground. So what? So you bought a piece of land, and what are you doing? It's a lulav. It's only meaning if you work the land, you're over on the isser, but there's no mitzvah not to. So everybody's wasting their money.
Why? You're not over the lulav then. It's still a mitzvah.
I'm not
over
the lulav either. I'm sitting in a house away.
I'm not having the point. You're not over lulav. On Shabbos, when I'm not over lulav, I'm mekayim a mitzvah, no? To not be over lulav. I don't cop what he's saying.
So Akiva, I'm not being over on the lulav either from Eretz Yisrael.
So what's the point of keeping all the lavim on Shabbos? You're not being mekayim a mitzvah. I don't cop what he's saying.
No. Of course you're mekayim, but why am I not?
So
being
what's his point?
1 second. Hello. Are you keeping shmita now?
Yes, you're keeping the lulav of not working the land.
Right. So
that is keeping shmita.
No, but he's saying why buy a piece of land to not do it?
Because if you don't own any land in Eretz Yisrael, you're not being mekayim a mitzvah.
Well, of course you are.
How?
You go buy land in Eretz Yisrael. Why not?
What lulav would you be over? You can't be over lulav if you don't own it. There's no starting point.
What is that? Of course there is. I'm not being over on the love.
I don't cop. We can't bring kabbalah nowadays. I'm mekayim the mitzvah.
Akiva, I cop what you're saying. Now that they gave us an opportunity to buy the land.
No, now that you own the land.
No, but I'm saying I'm going to one up you and say now that they gave us the opportunity to buy land, and I'm not doing it because I don't want to be over on the left. So now I get to stop.
I don't know if that's true. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, if you own the land and you're not working the land, you're mekayim the lulav. If you don't own a piece of land, how are you mekayim the lulav?
So Yaakov, you're out lumdusing them.
Right.
So Yaakov, am I mekayim the mitzvah of meiser by not doing it in Eretz Yisrael? If you don't live in Eretz Yisrael, you can't do certain mitzvahs. I don't chap. You just can't do the mitzvah.
Akiva, you can give money to Karen Shvias also and be to the mitzvah keeping shmita.
You right by buying the land. That's how Karen Shvias works.
Akiva, if you take a nap on Shabbos, are you saying because you're not conscious, you're not getting any schar for not?
No, because we did discuss the idea of not being conscious and whether you're mekayim mitzvahs or not. But if you're experiencing Shabbos, you're not doing an avera. You're not doing an avera on Shabbos. Here you have no shaykhs to the land. You can't tell me a person's mekayim a mitzvah when he doesn't own the land. That there are certain mitzvahs that have shaykhs to Eretz Yisrael that you can't be mekayim if you don't live in Eretz Yisrael. That's just the way it works. Hence, people should be Eretz Yisrael.
That's for a mitzvah saseh, but a mitzvah loisah. The bottom line, I'm not being over on the love.
Even if you don't own the land, I'm not clapping how you could even say that.
I hear your point. I hear your point. But it's yeah. Okay, whatever. That was just off on a tangent. Maybe I don't know if we'll get back to that. But either way. So anyway, so what we're saying here is that this pigeon, it's going to be really more in tomorrow's stuff. How this works. But the point is that you bought the vegetables from the Amoritz, you gave them too much money, so you have to be paid it back. Right? So that's why, whatever it is, you see from this brisa that you're not allowed to give an Amoritz more than 3 meals worth of money. So therefore, if he wants to charge that for your esrog more than that, so then you're not allowed to do it. Therefore, you have to make this shtick where the lulav, you're paying for the lulav and not for the esrog. Right? We didn't finish. Okay, on to Amud Beis. We should have finished the sentence.
How much is a meal worth? Same as matanos levyanim?
I would think so. I mean, it's three meals. It's 3 meals, right? And then again, it says and then you come.
But he's an Amoritz. He might eat in 550, so we're not talking about it.
Matanos levyanim is a ready-to-eat meal. This has to be a ready-to-eat meal.
No, that's for Shleich Mamas. Matanos levyanim is money.
Okay, sorry.
Right. Yeah. No, you're right. It's probably not. It's probably not too much money. That's the bottom line. It's more than your esrog. It's way less than your esrog is going to cost, if that's what you want to know, right? Like you said. Okay, but anyways, That's only if you know that the amoret. One of the halachas in shmita is that you are not allowed to watch your field. The fence has to be open. You got to let anybody come in at any time and take whatever fruit. So that's when you're not allowed to give more than 3 meals worth of money to the amoret. That's if you see that he has a fence around his field. Right? I mean, he does not have a fence around his field. Where he takes it from where it's hefker. But if he takes it from a field, meaning if you buy an esrog from an amoret and you see that there's a fence around his field, which means he's just not keeping shmita, then afilu b'kachatzi iser aser. Then even to give him a half a iser is aser. You can't give him any money at all. You can't give him any money whatsoever because he's being over on an iser. Yeah. So now again, you have like this. What is there an iser to buy shmita? Meaning, if somebody doesn't keep shmita, do his vegetables become aser? Right? From this Gemara's mashma, that a guy does. Let's say a guy doesn't keep shmita. He's not keeping shmita for whatever reason. Right? Are you allowed to buy from him or not? Or let's say he doesn't. Let's say he gives it to you for free. Is it mutter or not? So this big toisus right over here, very large toisus, pretty much comes out that it's aser. Everybody else is going to say that it's mutter, and this toisus, the Reino Tam, in the middle of this toisus says that it would taka become aser, and you wouldn't be able to use those vegetables at all if the guy in charge of the farm did not keep shmita. All right? Okay, fine. So most of the 3 lines down, most of Rashesh is and let's say it's from Hefker, and then all you're going to have is 3 sudas and that's it. Or a minute, I'll ask you a stira. Apigam v'hayarbuz. I hope I pronounce this correctly. V'hayarbuzin. These are v'ashitim v'chagarugas v'koispa shebaharim v'hakarpa shebenaharas. Right, whatever all these vegetables are, whatever they are, they're cheap vegetables and nobody cares about them. Nobody's going to make any money from them, and therefore, gargil shel efer and the gargil of efer peturim and hamaiser, they're potter from meiser because nobody cares. It's considered hefker, totally hefker. Yeah, v'nixim mikol adam b'shvius, and you're allowed to buy them from anybody in shvius v'fishain kiyotze ben nishma, because nobody ever watches these vegetables. Right, and it's now, how come it doesn't say? But the most you can buy is 3 meals worth. Right, it just says these type of vegetables because they're so cheap. It's completely hefker. There's no meiser on it, and there's no shmita on it. So why don't you say? But you're limited to 3.
What happens if they start caring about one of the vegetables?
What?
What if they start caring about one of the asparagus? Is one of the things people care about asparagus now. 20 years ago, what did they do? That would change it, right?
Yes, one of them is asparagus.
Yeah.
Yeah, the article translates it asparagus.
Galgulugais is asparagus.
Which one?
The third one. The third one.
The third one, the article says it's asparagus. I know that the asparagus is very expensive these days.
Yeah, okay. So then, Hanami, the din, I would think the din should change. Yeah, the din would change. But anyways, so because they're so hefker, so it's nothing. So the question is, how come the brisa doesn't say only up till 3 sudas? Right? You shouldn't be able to give more than 3 sudas worth. Right? So maybe you see that you could give more than 3 sudas. So he asked the question and he gave the teretz. The kedei man shanu. You have to learn that it has to do with the man, meaning you're only allowed to buy the amount of man, which is 3 meals. Right? Meaning even though the price doesn't say it, but what it means is you're taka only allowed to buy with 3 meals. And he agreed that it's only up to 3 meals of this stuff that you're allowed to buy. My mashra the high man listen to the. How do you know the lashon of man is food? Yasiv, and it's not from the man. It's not from the man. Right, so it's a pasuk in Daniel, and it means that he gave food. That was Daniel when they were by the kings over there with what's it called? The Nebuchadnezzar training this, that, whatever. So that they called calls it mun. So you see that mun means food. The Gemara says, okay, now, so that's that. Now, the Gemara till now is assuming that a lulav doesn't have hilchos shmita. Esrog does, lulav doesn't. So the Gemara says, yochi lulav nami. Why? If the whole issue is shmita, so how come there's no shmita issue with the lulav? Well, our answer is lulav barshishes hanichnas l'shviyasu, which is exactly what we're doing with the lulavim and esrogim this year. Right? The
Ron,
lulav,
next year.
Next year is going to be the issue. Well, we're going to have to figure out
what's the Gemara's teretz? The Gemara is saying in the year of Shemitah is not a problem, but usually the problems arise in the year after Shemitah when the produce is already grown.
Correct. Oh, so one second, Akiva. So what it means here is the lulav from the 6th year that goes into the 7th year, meaning it has to be that by trees, what it is, the trees, fruits, and vegetables have two different dinim when it comes to Shemitah. Fruits, it goes when it grew. Vegetables goes when it's picked. So what we're saying is that the lulav is for sure was going to be, it didn't grow, so it was already grown right from Shemitah, which is Rosh Hashanah, till Sukkot, those 2 weeks. It was for sure didn't grow then, so it must have grown before, and therefore it's from the 6th year. Even if you picked it in the 7th year, it's still considered from the 6th year, which we'll see in a minute what's going on here. So why don't we do the same thing? We're talking about the 6th year going to the 7th year, which is mamish now, which is mamish right now. So then the esrog also grew in the 6th year. That's going into the 7th year. So we say no. Esrog basar l'kita zlinon. Esrog we don't go with when it grew. We go with when it picked it.
Doesn't that make it bad for us? If esrog is going to go when you pick it,
no.
and lulav is going to go when it grows, so it comes out that they're both going to be shmita next year.
Correct. Exactly.
So then how could you use the lulav to buy the esrog?
No, so 1 second. So Naftali, we're talking about the practical this year. They picked the esrogim already. Way long ago they picked the esrogim.
Correct. Right, but next year they're going to pick the esrogim that grew in Shemitah.
Correct.
I never understood the Shemitah concept anyways when it came to esrogim.
Lulav's going to be a problem next year also.
Correct, but we're going to see why through tomorrow, Bezos Hashem, why the lulav is not a problem. But right now, the Gemara is saying the reason why lulav is not a problem is because the lulav goes with when it grew, and it grew in the 6th year. Esrog grows when it was taken.
See, I never understood why we can't.
Right, but I'm saying it comes out to be the same year for both. The problem, I thought it was going to be switched off the years, but they're coming out. It's going to be the 8th year is the problem for both of them.
Yes, 100%. What are you saying, Aaron?
I never understood Shemitah with esrog in general. Why can't we just say that the esrog is more chashuv and we need it for a dvar mitzvah? Like we shech the carbon pesach on Shabbos, we need it for the seder. Why is this any different?
What?
Saying why can't you?
What did you just say?
I'm saying that why can't you technically pick an esrog during Shemitah? You need it for a mitzvah. Why should it be any different than other things that we do?
I can even tell you the terutzim. I don't know anything.
Go ahead.
Use an esrog from Arizona or from Italy. Okay, or from Morocco, okay?
Yeah. Okay, that's a terrace. It's a terrace. It is a terrace.
1 second. The problem is using the esrog, or the problem is buying the esrog?
You can use an esrog from a different country that doesn't have shmita.
But I'm talking about, is the problem using the esrog from Eretz Yisrael?
This is working with it, making sure that it grows. It's business. It's everything. It's everything. All the above. That's why the esrogim next year usually are lousy. You get a real good esrog next year, then you got to figure out what shtick was being pulled to make sure how that.
So that's what I'm asking. Why can't if you're doing it for a mitzvah? Why can't you say that you're allowed to do it for a mitzvah for Yom Tov?
Oh, so I could all, but Rabban's teretz is one. I can say another one is, you don't need, not everybody, this is really going to bring up.
Well, that was my other teretz. Because I'm old, I grew up in a shul like that, yeah. Rabbi Blau had a lulav and esrog, and the shul had a lulav and esrog.
That's
because you grew up in a pilot shul, Rabbi.
No.
But that's who says that you should be over on shmita for everybody to have their own lulav and that? No, it's not. I mean, it's not okay. Whatever. That's a different sugya. But either way, the Gemara is asking. So the esrog also. So we say no. Esrog basel lekita. Esrog goes when you picked it. So if you picked it between Rosh Hashanah and Sukkot, now it's a shmitta thing. So now, of course, Baruch Hashem, that this is what makes our Yiddishkeit so nice and complicated. So now we got to figure out is a lulav. So a lulav goes basar when it grew, and an esrog goes basar when it was picked. And now we're going to ask that it should be exactly the opposite. All right, so it says, "Bein Rabbi Gamliel, Bein Rabbi Eliezer, Linyan Shvius." Whether we go Rabbi Gamliel or Rabbi Eliezer, which the Gemara is going to quote now, Linyan Shvius, esrog basar chanota azlinan. Everybody holds that an esrog goes with when it grew, not when it was picked, which would mean that all the esrogim, even if you picked them after Rosh Hashanah this year, for Sukkot, since it grew in the 6th year, it doesn't have kedusha shvius, meaning the exact opposite of what we just said. That's now we learned in the Mishnah, esrog shaval ilam begimel drachim. An esrog, the problem with an esrog is in no man's land, which we referred to this a couple of blot ago. Esrog, is it a vegetable or is it a fruit? What do you mean? It's a fruit. It grows on a tree, right? No. The problem is that it needs a lot of water, right? Like we said. And since it needs a lot of water, that is the characteristic of vegetables. Vegetables need a lot of water. Fruit trees don't need that much water. So the question is, for these inyanim of mitzvahs atuliyas ba'aretz, that's Eretz Yisrael thing, do we look at an esrog that it's a vegetable or a tree? So that's what we have here. So the Tanan esrog shavel le'ilan begimel drachim. An esrog is the same as a tree in 3 ways. Uliyerek b'derech echad, and like a vegetable in 1 way. Shavel le'ilan begimel drachim. It's just like a tree in 3 ways for arla, that it has arla, meaning an esrog tree. The first 3 years you're not allowed to use it, and then ula ravai. Then the 4th year is called nete ravai. You gotta bring it up to Yerushalayim. Ula shvius and for shmita. Ula yerek b'derech echad. It's like a vegetable in 1 way. The b'shas l'kitasa yisuroi, that when do you get ma'aser from it?
Isn't there 2 ways? The arla ravai.
Arla ravai and
ravai is automatic from all.
True, but it's 2 different mitzvahs. Right? Arla, Ravai, and what was the other one? And shmitta. Right? I should remember that one, right? Yeah. Shebeshas l'kitasa yisura. That when you pick it, that's when you do ma'aser. So vegetable is when you pick it. I'm sorry. For ma'aser, it's when you pick it. That's when ma'aser, meaning because you have different ma'asers to give in the 1st, the 2nd year, the 3rd year, 4th, 5th, 6th, so depending on when it was picked. When do you calculate the years? So that goes when you picked it. He holds an esrog is the same as a tree for everything. Whatever it is you see, and when it's a tree, but all opinions, it's a tree. It has the din of a tree, so it goes after when it grew, not when it was picked. So how could our Gemara now say that the esrog is talking about that it goes when it was picked? The Gemara answers, "Who the Amar ki Tana the Tan?" You know, he goes with the Tana that disagrees with this brisa. Amar of Yosi of Tumas Hayed Mishim Chamisha Zakanim, that of Tumas said Hayedus in name of 5 Zakanim esrog Achel Lekita the Meiser, and esrog goes after the picking for Meiser. Rabbi Seinu Nimnu Ba'usha, and then the Rabbanim were in Usha. They made a vote. Nimnu really means they were counted and made a vote. But Amru Bein LeMeiser Bein LeShvius, whether it's for Meiser, whether it's for Shvius, it goes Basa de Lakita, and that's what our Gemara is going with. The Shvius Mandocha Shmei. Who said anything about Shvius in this? These Zakanim in Usha and the Chamisha Zakanim were talking about Meiser. Who said anything about Shvius? The Surah Mechseros, no, there's something missing there. This is what it said. Esrog Achel Lakita the Meiser. It goes after the picking for Meiser. Achel Chanota LeShvius, and after the growth, when did it grow for Shmita? Meaning if it grew in the 6th year, there's no Shmita on it. And if it grew in the 7th year, even if you picked it in the 8th year, it's still a Shmita. It goes when it was picked. So our Mishnah that's saying that the lulav, this is what the Gemara is saying now. Our Mishnah is saying that the lulav has no kedusha and the esrog does have kedusha, is going with the shittas that say that the esrog goes when it was picked, and the lulav goes when it grew. So we're talking about it was like the equivalent of this coming Sukkot, where the lulav is not shmita because it grew during the 6th year, and the esrog is a shmita issue because it was picked between Rosh Hashanah and Sukkot. Okay, the Gemara is going to continue to shakvatara tomorrow, but we'll stop here.
So according to the last man, the next year, pick it after Rosh Hashanah, you're okay?
Is that what?
If you pick it according to the last man, the next year, if you pick it after Rosh Hashanah, it should be okay.
According to these shittas, problem is it's a machlokes naftali. That's the problem. So who's going to go with, right? Right. So that's So now, yeah. We'll have to get into all the shticks that go on maybe tomorrow. Yeah. All right. Naftali, you driving now, or you're not?
No, I can't left out. I'm in the car. My niece is Kastana. Rav Khan is here. I want to go and I have a little hello. Rav Khan from your father. Rav Khan, from your father's story.
Rav Khan?
Rav Khan, yeah. And from Flatbush. That didn't sign the letter that says B'chol Me'edecha. You know what I'm talking about. So he's here. I want to say hello.
Yeah, okay, very nice.
You know who he is, right?
All right,
you know.
enjoy it.
All right, Mazel Tov. I'll speak to you. Thank you.
All right, enjoy. You remember where that Gemara is, Gershon?
No, I don't. I thought it was in Shkala, but I'm not sure now.
I think it's Psukim.
Psukim? I don't think I'm remembering that far back.
I don't know. I think it's Psukim. I think it's Psukim by the Hallel. It's not in Arvei Psukim?
I don't think it was by the Hallel, but it might be. I'll have a look. Ouch.
On a separate note, I had to dunk the thing in half at a time because I couldn't even fit it into the mikveh.
How does that mean? Half of the time doesn't work.
What?
Half and half doesn't work.
No, I'm saying like I dunked the bot with the lid, whatever. The lid didn't need to feel any of it. It was attached, so I did the whole thing.
I hear. Okay, did you have fun?
No, I was soaking, whatever. Don't ask.
I figured you just go into the mikveh with it.
I know, but it's like it's very wild. I had fun because I made dinner on it. That was my fun. So.
Okay. Sounds good.
Davo, I thought you're not allowed to travel in the regular mikveh.
If you know that if it's rigged for women's mikveh, for sure you can. Men's mikveh might not be.
Men's mikveh, I for sure cannot. Yeah, we have a pump on the men's mikveh. Okay. But I know I traveled in the Kalim mikveh. I didn't use the regular mikveh. I traveled in the Kalim mikveh.
Oh, I thought you said it doesn't.
I took the lid off. Don't whatever. That's why I said.
What were you traveling?
What?
What were you traveling?
I'll send you a picture, Paris. You'll have Hannah.
All right.
What should I answer this guy? He just texted. Shalom Aleichem, Rabbi Stein. Where are you? Somebody has to answer that. Did I just lose everybody?
I would say I'm in the bathroom.
I answered. I'm sitting outside on my porch.
Right, but thanks for asking. And no, I don't need any toilet paper. Hopefully you don't have any stalkers. Yeah.
What?
I said, hopefully you don't have any stalkers.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, I'm hanging up. Haaretz, I sent you pictures.
Drive safe, Haaretz.
Tsiagiv.
Yeah.
You're right. It's Psachim Kufya test, and it does not say it's double there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean, it's going on the Gemara that says it's double, but it doesn't say that they said it double.
Okay, so that's a shot. That answers your kasha, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly the same Gemara. The rest of it, after that shtickle with the story of Shmuel, the same words, everything. The whole Gemara is the same.
Yeah. Interesting. At least you remembered it.
Yeah. All right, now I gotta knock my Shmuel into shape. Missed the last 2 nights. Now I gotta do double.
Right.
The hardest 2 blocks in Sukkah I gotta do with him.
All right. He could always do it on his own.
Yeah, he wants to. I don't really trust him, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see.
Do this phone call.
Yeah,
Good
Yashikaya.
night.